get me notes. I think I know Brian the longest of anyone here. I think well, win is the wrong word, isn't it? Possibly. I think I trump everyone here. Even Vince, I think, because 1980, I think I met him, which is a very long time ago now. Right. So what can I say about Brian P. Mitchell? I could say he was pleasant. But that would be a lie. I could say he was handsome. But that would be a big. I could say he was modest and self-effacing. But that would be a lie so vast, so great in its magnitude, that it would shake the very heavens and topple the globe. We are, after all, talking about a man who wrote a 3-act play about his own life, his own love life, changing virtually none of the facts, and then directed it himself and toured it around the country, doing the teching for it and watching it. Orson Welles never did that. We're talking about a man who wrote his own one-man show, with a bit out from me, which he called $1 Billion Brian, which was essentially a glorification of his own character quirks, which he put on at the Comedia Theatre and expected people to pay to come and see. You know, even Stalin wouldn't have done that. This is perhaps understandable if you think about Brian's family. I don't know how many people have ever met or come into contact with Brian's family, but suffice it to say, his dad is called Brian Mitchell, his brother is called Gary Brian Mitchell, and the family dog was called Mitch. So I think we sort of know who's to blame, as it's always the case. It's his family. If you were going to perform an experiment, a la that Michael Powell film. What's the Michael Powell film?
Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom. If you're going to perform an experiment guaranteed to turn anyone into a raging lunatic, all you need to do is get Brian's mum and dad, and that's his family. For those of you who don't know them, there's quite a lot of them. 3 sisters. He's got 1 brother, his mum and dad, and various others. And they give their opinions very forcefully all the time. It's a bit like an opera, but with no music. Actually, it's his sisters I blame, because when he was little, the Hitler thing's been mentioned already. He used to dress up as Hitler. But what I think is actually is his sisters used to make him dress up as Paul McCartney. They used to put a little Beatles suit on him and a wig, and give him a little guitar. They say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's probably the blame. So on one side you've got Hitler, on the other McCartney. I know which one is heavier. So yeah, like I said, I first met Brian at St Joseph's Primary School in Shirebrook in 1980, when I was 9 and he was 10. And at that time his nicknames in the school, you'll be interested here, were Brian Stein and Brian the Brain. It's very, very clever, that one as well. But, his interests at the time included bow ties, tank tops, the history of the Great Western Railway, and the lesser novels of Tobias Smollett. So basically, he was the same as any other 10-year-old, any other growing lad. Actually, the main thing I remember is that he used to draw architectural cartoons. Everyone else was kicking crisp packets around, he'd be in the classroom drawing like Doric columns, and Ionic columns, and things like that. If he did that these days, they just take him away and let Oliver Sacks study him. You know, throughout our long association, he's always never failed to amaze me. He's still the only person I know who, as a teenager, managed on a regular basis to bore his own parents. That's like Lewis Carroll. That's not meant to be that way round. Your parents bore you, especially when you're a teenager. But they'd be in the back of the car going on about how Sheridan was superior to Shaw. Something like that. And I'd see his parents sort of go. It's not a good idea when you're down the motorway. Astonishing. So I was at school with him, and then he went to university down here. I didn't go to university here. I wouldn't let me in. The bastards. Yeah, so Brian went to university where everybody thought he was gay. I say everybody knew. And as has been said already, at the time he looked rather more eccentric than he does now. These days he just dresses like a rapist from 1972. But back then he had this sort of weird. I can't describe his hair. It's like Caucasian afro, blow dried. This is when he had hair and a full beard. And he used to wear cravats and sort of tartan waistcoats, quite loud tartan waistcoats. And he looked a bit like Simon Callow doing an impersonation of Little Richard. And he was, he didn't get any action for about the first 6 months of university, and he didn't know what. Extraordinary. Women seem to be ignoring me. Quite a lot of men have come up now. But actually, you once had the temerity. There was a girl at my university who I was enamoured of, and she wasn't interested in me. And Brian said, "Well, I think it might be because you're a bit too effeminate." So yeah, at the university, Brian discovered drink and drugs and sex and Percy Granger, which just made his persona even more bizarre because he was like a weird mix of sort of Shaun Ryder and F.R. Leavis. In fact, one of the more bizarre experiences of my life was going to see Jurassic Park. We went to see it last year.
Yeah. It was
strange.
Try not to focus on his button nose.
I remember. Like that. But the other thing weird about Brian, and why I know he's an alien, is that drugs tend to have the reverse effect on him. Like dope, which makes everyone else in the world just talk rubbish, makes him clam up. He gets very quiet when he's on down. Cocaine makes him sleepy. But to sum up, since university, Brian's done a lot of things. He's had many careers. He's been a bum, a layabout, a tramp, and a waster. But you know, he didn't work himself too hard at those. He took a lot of time off. It's very important. And he continues. He continues to go on. And on. And on. And on. So, I've nearly finished now. At the risk of adding a little honey to all the vitriol here, I'd like to finish by saying that Brian is at least unique. You know, I don't think there's anyone else in the world, or even the universe, probably, quite like him. Although there are an awful lot of Maris Piper potatoes that look. And whatever else you say about him, he's always been a man of principle. The principle in question being that everyone else should shut up and listen to what he's got to say.